Hello, and welcome to the 15th video update for the MLFX beta. We have a brand spanking new version of the algorithm ready to go, ready for testing right now. So if you haven't already, jump over to the website, check it out. You're in for a treat. There's a lot of improvements that we've made. I'm going to go through those improvements in a bit. But first, I want to cover off how to use the system for those of you who just want the information right now before you get stuck in and do some testing. Now, obviously, we're in beta, so please do not use a live account. Use a demo account or do paper trading or just observe and jot down and report. Observe and report. There we go. We'll use a movie title as an analogy for what needs to be done. So without further ado, I will quickly just run through how we use the system as it is. It's pretty self-explanatory, but there's a few things here and there that maybe you don't know or you're not aware of. So let's jump right in. So starting from right to left here, we have the action, which is clear enough, buy or sell. We also have behind the scenes hold, which is really when it's indecisive and it doesn't know what to do, it spits back hold, but we don't show them to the end user, you guys, because it's just going to be confusing, right? So buy or sell, nice and easy. The entry price, very self-explanatory. The stop loss and the take profit, also self-explanatory. What we aimed to do here was to create a more mechanical system. Obviously it's super mechanical because it is using machine learning, but what I mean by that is something that anyone can pick up and they can use, and they know exactly what needs to be done. They're not sitting back questioning, oh, what do I need to do? Where should I put my take profit? Where should I put my stop loss? It's all laid out for them. They just have to pick and choose which trades they want to take based on some of the information I'll get to. So stop loss, take profit, very evident what needs to be done there. The risk reward is set in pip value. As you can see at the end, there's pips there. We may change the title to just be R-R and then in brackets pips and remove it from the column here. So these numbers fit on one line because I'm very pedantic about those types of things and I want it clean, right? I want it clean and easy to at a glance see what's up. So on the left hand side you obviously have the stop loss, which is the risk, and then on the right hand side you have the take profit, which is the reward in relation to the entry price and in the pip value. So this top one here, you can see it is, let's bust out the calculator, the trusty old calc. I should always leave that open, I use it all the time. So we got 83.6 pips divided by 6.6 gives us a 12.66 continuing number as a return. So in this instance, if you were to look at this at the pure risk reward, you would be using the stop loss as a base of 1. You would be looking at a 1 to 12.66 return, right? So if you risked 1% of your account, you would return, if you won, 12.6%, which is a healthy return, right? And in fact, it is probably greater than I would like, which sounds odd, I know, but bear with me, because we want our system to really focus on intraday traders and intraday trading. And this trade is more than likely going to take longer than 24 hours to materialize, so it's not within that intraday time frame. So in the future, we may end up sort of foregoing these larger trades here in favor of lower trades like this, that one, that one, that one. Those kind of trades where it's not going to take all day or multiple days to materialize. And you should, because of that, get a higher accuracy because they're more likely than not going to materialize. Your take profit's more likely to hit versus one that's an extra 40 pips or so. And you will probably want a slightly higher stop loss as well. But we're working through that. It's still optimizing. As I said, it's only been active for a day. It's very fresh. So the system is still working its way through things and figuring it out. What I would like to do, and we will see in future versions, is on hover of a row here, I would like the risk reward to change from the pip value to this value that I've just run through here. So it'll be 1 in this case, or in this case rather, as there's a new one here, it would be 1 to 12.6 risk reward. And on hover, this current value would change to that. Then we have accuracy, which is based off all of the trades that this agent has taken. So at the moment, the way we work it is taking the most activated agent, and it is using that agent to return these values, right? So it's only one agent, which is effectively one trader, that is returning these values, and it is the one that fits the market the best at that particular time. So when it tests the market, it gets that raw market data, it might refine it into things, into indicators like an RSI, Bollinger Band, various different indicators that help it digest that information a little bit quicker, and it would use those indicators as well as different price action and movement to create, or it has rules based on those indicators and based on certain patterns within the market to then spit back a membership of how much it fitted those different rules. So that's where fuzzy logic comes in and all that confusing stuff. I'm not going to go into detail here, but it gives you a number on how much correlation, I guess, the current market has to those rules that particular agent has, and it might have 10 different rules. And what we're doing here is we're providing a signal based on the agent that has the most rules that are met to the highest degree, so activated the most, and returning that value, which in theory means that this is the best agent for that particular situation when it's trading. Now what we can do is we can also take the top 10%, the top 20% of the agents, right? We might have thousands and thousands of different agents. We could take the top 10% of the 1,000 agents, and we're looking at the top 100 agents that were activated, and then we take an average of those collective agents to give you a signal here. Or we could do top 1%, top 10%, top 5%. It really depends on how many agents we have for that pairing, and what number we wind up with as being the most profitable number. So we're going to experiment with that in the future. At the moment, as I said, we're just using the one agent. So this is a very, very poor accuracy of 5.2%. But what that means is it's likely always going to have a very, very high risk reward in your favor. So the reward's going to be very large, and the risk is going to be very low. And this is actually a bad example here because it has an average income of negative 8.9 pips, which means on average for every trade it takes, it loses 8.9 pips. So what I would also like to see here is on hover, this accuracy is replaced with the total trades in terms of losses and winners. So with a slash in the middle on the left hand side, how many losers do we have? On the right hand side, how many winners do we have? Which also tells you the total number of trades that agent has taken to get that accuracy, because at the moment we're not seeing that. So that would be something ideal that I would like to see, and that would also give some credence to this number here, which at the moment it's like, oh, okay, 8.9, lost that, but how many trades has it taken? It might have only taken 3 or 4 trades. Now I can fairly assume based on the accuracy that it's going to be much more than that, because you don't get a 5.26 accuracy without taking dozens and dozens of trades. But yeah, that would be something I'd like to see. And then see on the other side, flip side, we have this trade here, which has got a 9.3 pip average income per trade that it's taken. So this is on average a very profitable trade to take. However, you also see that we have it's looking for 83.6 pips. So it's a very, very large reward that it's looking for. but it also showing me that on average this agent is accurate. So it hits the take profit, or it wins 38.46% of the time, which is pretty impressive. So all things considered, that is why I took this trade. And in fact, I think we've lost that trade. We have. Bummer. While I've been talking, we've lost that trade. It happens. In fact, the Euro USD has had 4 losers for me today. That is number 4. 3 losers for me today, 1 on the Euro Jappy. And they were all very large reward trades that I was looking for. So just been a bad day when it comes to trading on the Euro pairings with these large risk rewards. So a bit unfortunate there. Then the age is when the new signal was created. So very self-explanatory. It counts up. We will purge signals after 1 hour. At the moment, they're just sort of sticking around until there's, I think, 2 or 3 signals per pairing. And then pairing is obviously the instrument, right? It is the currency pairings that this signal relates to. So that is, in essence, what we have at the moment, and what we've changed and how it works. So when you are looking to take a trade, the things that you should be concerned about are the risk reward. Obviously, you're going to want to look for a trade that has at least, I would probably say, a 1 to 1.5 risk reward, if not 1 to 2. And by nature, you will never have a trade that show up here that has a lower take profit than it does stop loss in terms of pip value, right? So this will be the lowest that you ever get on this trade here, is a 15.7 to a 15.8. So it's a 1 point difference. But in general, the take profit should be substantially higher. So, you know, you can see just scrolling down here, looking at it, plenty of the trades are almost excessive in terms of their return. But then you have good, 1 to 2 ratios like that, and slightly less than 1 to 2, 1 to 3 ranges there. Again, 1 to 3 ranges. So in an ideal world, we would probably be showing mostly 1 to 2 to 1 to 5 maybe at the high end risk rewards. And we may remove agents like these that are, showing higher risk rewards, just so we do focus on the intraday side of things. So you want to look for those kind of risk rewards. You then want to be looking for a positive average income as the number one thing after that. So that is the highest indicator, or the largest indicator that this will be a profitable trade, is if on average you are making profit from the trades. Then you want to be looking at the accuracy next. So how often is this agent accurate, right? How many winners versus losers does it have as a percentage? And in general, most of these percentages, most of the accuracies are actually not that high, right? They're pretty average. I think the highest I've ever seen so far has been about 65% accuracy. But you've got to bear in mind that that's because we have these, these different method of using things now with a lower risk and a higher reward. That means you don't actually need to be correct that often, right? You might only need to be correct 1 in 5 times, 1 in 4 times, 1 in 3 times, however many to make profit. So for instance, this trade here, we've got a 45% accuracy. It's averaging around about 13.4 pips per trade on the AUD USD, which I think has actually been performing quite well for us. And so looking at that, you've got 36.2 divided by 15, so it's slightly over 2, 2.4. So the way we do this is times that by 45.45, and on average, out of 100 trades, we are going to have 109% return if we're risking 1% per trade. But then we've got to minus, obviously, the losers out of that, which would be 55, roughly, percent. It's slightly less than 55, but we'll round it up. So on average, out of 100 trades, you would make 54.686, assuming that the risk reward is the same. Now, that's not going to be the case. It'll be slightly less, slightly more on some. And what I would like to actually see is us show, as I said, it'll show the risk reward for this trade. I would also like it to show the average risk reward for all of the trades that this agent has taken. So if we can get both of those shown, then it should give you a really good indication as to if this is going to be a profitable trade or not. So that gives you a little bit of an idea as to how we use the system. Now let's talk about why we did what we did when it comes to making these changes to the algorithm, and some of the things we have planned in the future, as well as then recapping some of the trades that we've taken, which unfortunately today have been losing trades. But hey, that's the name of the game when you have these higher reward, lower risk trades. And it'll be essential for us to just monitor and address whether or not we should have had slightly larger stop losses, which I think might be the case as it currently stands. So, what did we do with the system? What did we change, and why did we change it? Well, there's three main changes, I guess you would call them, and reasons for change. One is we changed from using a windowed method, which was using a 1 hour and 24-hour window, where we were trying to predict what the price was going to be at the end of that 1 hour time frame or at the end of that 24-hour time frame. And now we are using a dynamic system that it's not really using time in a sense that it is predicting what's going to happen at the end of a time period. It's just trying to maximize your profits and minimize your losses in terms of take profits and stop losses. And it does that via the second reason, or the second point, which is we updated the system, the algorithm, to use a multi-objective method, which means that you can not only have just two, but you can implement a bunch of different objectives for the algorithm to optimize based on, right? It uses them as the main outputs, right? The output functions in the fuzzy sets. So what that means is we have the take profit and the stop loss as output functions in fuzzy sets, and it is optimizing all of the inputs to return those outputs. As I said, we don't just have to stop at two, we can add other ones in the future, but at the moment what we use is we use the maximum positive predicted move and the maximum negative predicted move based on the trade, right? So they could be the highest it thinks it's going to go or the lowest it thinks it's going to go, depending on if it's a buy or a sell. It would switch those two and assign them to the maximum positive, maximum negative. So those two things, and then one of the final reasons was to just create a more mechanical system that is easier for our users and us to follow, right? We don't want to be second guessing ourselves. Where should we put our take profits? Where should we put our stop losses? I want the system to provide that information for everyone so that they can trust in it, and to provide results based on the outputs, right? Based on the signals. So we should be able to check all of these signals, and there should be no second guessing whether or not it was a win, whether or not it was a loss. It should be self-evident in the signal that was returned, and then when we jump over to the analysis page, we should be able to see, okay, yes, these were all the trades that were taken for this agent. These were all of the winners, the losers, and this is how much it returned over the month of August, whatever, and all of that information, right? So those are the main sort of 3 reasons we made the changes. Also with these changes, it actually makes it very easy for us to plot information on charts. Armory added the ability for us to plot all of the trade data onto charts, as well as to check that data, because we need to check whether or not the trades are winners or losers to get the because that's one of the fitness functions, right? We're trying to maximize the number of winners and minimize the number of losers when we're going through the evolutionary process of mutating these agents and coming up with better versions of the agents. It also allows us to produce this accuracy number. So by having that information, we needed to return in the code whether or not that was a winner or a loser. So it needs to take the trade, it then needs to check based on the data whether or not it was a winner or a loser. So we're now able to reasonably easily add a function that calls to the market server, which we use Oanda, and then return that market information for a set given period of time, and check against that data whether or not the trades that we have in the analysis page were winners or losers. So we'll be adding that relatively soon. It's going to be another column here that says result, and then it will be win or loss. And on top of that, because I just said we can plot the charts, what we'll do is we'll have that be a button so that you click on that and it will plot maybe the 6 to 12 hours before the trade and the 6 to 12 hours after the trade, as well as the duration of the trade using candlesticks, and it'll show you using a method that we use, which I'll let me jump in here. So we are using the ability to, where did I add these in? So we have the ability to plot out charts like this, and you can then sort of zoom in and have a look at some of the trades. So these are trades here. The red dotted line is the stop loss, and the the blue solid line is a take profit. So if the blue line is always the take profit, red line is always stop loss, and depending on if it is the dotted version or the solid version is if it was hit or not hit. Solid being hit, dotted being not hit. So you're able to quickly have a look at what actually happened here. Did it hit the take profit? Did it hit the stop loss? How close was it to the stop loss? When did it hit the take profit? How long did it take to materialize, etc., etc. So what we'll do is we'll have a chart like this, except that it won't be as much data for each individual trade that is taken, and you can click on it and get an idea as to what happened, right? And that may not be so important for you guys, but it's very important for us because it allows us to identify, okay, hey, there's an error here where we're not quite giving the trades enough room, and a lot of them could have been winners, but they wound up being losers because our stop loss was just hit before it had time to go in the correct direction. See, like these are clear losing trades, right? Then it never goes in the right direction. But let's see if we can find a trade where maybe it would have been a winning trade, but it wound up being a losing trade. So you could possibly argue that these trades here, if you had given them a little bit more room, could have been winners, but they're not super good examples. This one here, you could definitely have argued that that would have been a winner if you extended it out a little bit. Same with this trade here. Let's these trades right there, you know, a couple of these here, there's possibilities for that to have been winning trades. These trades had, you know, the stop losses on them were far too tight, and we did implement a change which meant we shouldn't ever get stop losses that tight. You know, that trade there, that probably should have been a winner if you gave it a little bit extra room to breathe. So after looking at all of these, and you sort of think to yourself, okay, if we gave, like these trades here, if we gave them an extra 50% of wiggle room or 100% of wiggle room, and there was still plenty of profit to be made because you're looking for a massive profit, would it still have been profitable? So it's just about looking at those types of situations, you know, these types of situations here. This is a prime example there. See, you know, an extra, what's the difference there? What's the close? The low 5928 and 5948. So literally 2 pips there extra, and we would have hit our take profit. So yeah, but that's what we'll do anyway. We'll internally be able, and you guys can as well, but on the analysis page we'll have, as I said, that extra column, and we'll have the button where you can click on it and it will plot out the trade, each of the individual trades after they've been materialized. Then once we have that in place, it will be very easy for us to look at all of the individual pairings and calculate how many of them are winners, how many of them are losers, what was the risk reward in terms of the pips that were either lost or made, what was the risk reward as a foundation in terms of 1 to whatever, and how much return would that be based on percentage, and then have all that information at the top here. So for each individual pairing, what was the wins and the losers. At the moment we only have the buy/sell, but we will probably revert back to what we were previously doing, which was using different customizers at the beginning here, or different what's the correct terminology for it? I forget the word. I know there's a word. I was thinking about it yesterday, but I forget. Identifiers, maybe that's the right word. Different identifiers attached to the beginning here, so it would be like a strong sell, weak sell, epic sell, whatever, you know. So based on the average income, the risk reward, and the accuracy, we would split back whether or not that was considered to be a stronger sell or a weaker sell. You get the idea. So what we could do is then we could have, as I said, those different tables at the top here for each pairing. We could then show the number of wins, the number of losses, the win percentage, the return in terms of pip value, and the return in terms of percentage value, percentage on your account, and then all of that information for all of the different signals, which is pretty important information for everybody to know at a glance. Then I'm hoping what we could do is easily have us be able to search, okay, Euro, Jappy, so it has all of those, and we want to see August, so all of the trades for August, right, or all of the trades on Tuesday, choose, and it would show us all of that information, and it would update that table that we have based on that information that we have in here. So if we just wanted to see all of the information for August, for instance, we would just type in August and it would return all that information and it would automatically update those tables. What we could also do on top of that, I know, also, what if is we could plot all of that data onto a chart. So we could say, if we started with a $1,000 account, what would the return on that account be at the end of the month? Which is just more visual representation of the system at work and whether or not it's a profitable system over sort of longer durations or whatever input you'd like to put in there. So enough speculation on what we're going to do and what the system is going to look like. Very happy with how it is at the moment and how we're using it. Unfortunately, as I said, I took a few trades and we had some losers. So we've had these 4 losers today where we were looking for 1%, or we were risking 1% of our account. I didn't get in at the exact points for these trades, but I was pretty close for that trade. So we ended up losing all 4 of them, and they were, as I said, we were looking for high return on investment. So a bit unfortunate, but that's the name of the game. I'm going to take some further trades today. So we'll probably do a video either tomorrow or the next day updating you on the progress, the things that we've added. I know Armory's working on a couple of improvements. There's plenty of room for improvement here in terms of we need to put the entry price here, take profit there, add in a copy button so we can just click it and it'll copy this to your clipboard, the take profit and the stop losses to your clipboard. As I said, on hover it would be nice to display that extra information, and we only want to be showing the most recent signals in terms of probably up to 1 hour. So with that information and also rounding the JP pairing, doing some other things, right? I've been taking notes over the last 24 hours as to what we can improve. Those are the immediate things that I see we can improve here. And then it would be to doing the calculations, right? Whether or not the trades were winners or losers, and working on that. A couple more improvements and we should be ready to possibly take this system to market. It looks like it's doing really well. So, you know, once I've had probably a week worth of data and calculated whether or not that was profitable or not, the system was profitable or not for the week, it will be more reassurance, shall we say, that we are onto something special here. But we're both very optimistic, Armory and I, and I mean there's a lot of things we can still do to it to improve it. So to see that it is, you know, making huge profits already on certain trades is very reassuring. And look at wow, look at this recent trade. So that's the USD CNH for you, right? You know, they have huge moves. It's not uncommon for the USD CNH to move 400 pips in 4 hours, right? So although that looks ginormous, in relation to that market, it is, you know, it is the equivalent of a 100 pip move basically on any other pairing. So it's not that unheard of. In fact, it is probably the equivalent of more like a 60 pip move on any other pairing. But I'm going to cut the video there. Not going to take any more trades or anything like that live. Going to take a little bit of a break, but I will check back in with you, as I said, over the next couple of days and let you know how things are progressing, what changes we've made. It's good to be back up and running though. It felt like we were down, out of action for a little bit too long, and I feel like, you know, we need to keep the ball rolling, keep the excitement around the system growing, and I feel a little bit rusty coming back into things, as you can probably gather by my rambling. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I really, you know, want to build some excitement, as I said, around the system and get some viewers, get a viewership, you know, of these videos. Now, I think there's probably going to be a lot more attention on the live trading when we do start that. So I'm banking on that being the case, and it may be another month or two until that happens, but we'll keep you posted as always. All right, I'll see you in the next video.